So the Green Bay Packers have one of the better backfields in the NFL with both A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. And after this season, they're going to have to make a big decision when it comes to A.J. Dillon. He's entering the final year of his rookie contract. And so with that being the case, after this year, he will become an unrestricted free agent if the Packers don't decide to retain him. But I want to share what A.J. Dillon had to say over the weekend about his thoughts on potential future in Green Bay. So this is via Jason Wild of Madison.com. He says this is A.J. Dillon. I love Green Bay. Green Bay knows that. I love the Packers. The Packers know that. I'd play here until I can't run anymore. I'll pick up long snapper or whatever it is when I start slowing down, but there's only so much I can control. My biggest thing is having the mindset that I'm going to come in here and keep doing my thing. And when it's time to go play ball, I'm going to go out there and play free and have fun. How I used to back in college, high school, and however that happens, whether it's 1,000 yards, 2,000 yards, 100 yards, so be it. I'm going to have fun and enjoy all the time I have here, and hopefully we are back here next year. So the Packers have been utilizing somewhat of a split backfield overall. Aaron Jones has gotten a majority of the snaps, but if we look at last season, 2022, Aaron Jones had 213 attempts to A.J. Dillon's 183 attempts. And I think now in the NFL, when we've seen so many, workhorse backs who've carried majority of the time for certain teams, they just fall off cliffs way sooner when it comes to production just because of all the wear and tear on their body. So the Packers, over the past few seasons, have really utilized a split backfield, and luckily for the Packers, having two of the most talented backs in Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, it's really worked out for them to stay more healthy than I'd say some of the backs were utilized at a higher, more often. And so if we look at last season for A.J. Dillon, he had 186 attempts for 770 yards, averaged 4.1 yards per carry. If you compare that to Aaron Jones averaged 5.2 yards per carry. But I think there is one thing that you can't really see from that yards per carry stat is just the kind of ways the Packers utilized Aaron Jones in certain situations and A.J. Dillon in certain situations. And I think if we look to last season, there are lots of times when the Packers had, short yardage situations. They bring A.J. Dillon in because of his massive size, his power. Not that Aaron Jones doesn't have power, but of course, A.J. Dillon is built a lot more in that way and can be utilized a lot in short yardage situations. And so because of that, I think that's why you see his yards per carry slightly less than Aaron Jones. But if we look at two other, I'd say pretty interesting stats when it comes to running backs to measure just the overall success, we have DVOA, which basically measures the value of the play from the running back on a per play basis. It takes into account the down, the distance, the score, and the quality of the opponent. A.J. Dillon ranked 11th overall in the NFL, and Aaron Jones ranked 4th in the NFL. If we then look at success rate, which basically measures a player's consistency on running plays, and looking at the yardage of the situation, let's say it's a 3rd and 3, getting 3 yards would be a success. So A.J. Dillon ranked 5th in success rate versus Aaron Jones at 6th in success rate. So for the way they're utilized, they're both playing, I'd say, as top 10 backs in the NFL. And so that's where it's going to be interesting after this next season, just because Aaron Jones is still going to be under contract with the Packers. He will have a $17.7 million cap charge next season, and that's without A.J. Dillon having a contract. So the only issue for the Packers is, are they willing to pay two backs somewhat, high dollar to keep them around in Green Bay? A couple of seasons ago, we saw Aaron Jones on the roster, Jamal Williams. The Packers then drafted A.J. Dillon in the second round, and they let Jamal Williams go sign with the Lions after a pretty productive season in the snaps he did have. So the Packers have to make that decision. Will they be willing to put a ton more money into the running back position? I just love A.J. Dillon in Green Bay. I'd say he's one of the most involved in just the community overall. He seems to love Green Bay, and he wants to stay there in the future as well, even living there. And he clearly, from that quote we saw, wants to be in Green Bay for a very, very long time. And the question becomes, how much money is he willing to take next season? Because if you're A.J. Dillon and you can get more money elsewhere, do you take that money, as that business decision? Or do you stay in Green Bay, maybe take less than you would elsewhere? I'm not saying the Packers won't pay him what other teams are willing to pay him. I'm just wondering if they're willing to pay both Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon what they're worth, because that's a ton of money to put into the running back position. The Packers did draft Lou Nichols in the 7th round, and I think that's a little different than the situation beforehand with Jamal Williams being on the roster and A.J. Dillon, who they used a 2nd-round pick on. So let's say if this past draft the Packers had used, let's say, a 2nd or 3rd-round pick on a running back, that would make me more convinced that maybe they'd be willing to let A.J. Dillon go just for financial reasons. But because they didn't really draft a running back high, maybe they're able to come to some kind of agreement with A.J. Dillon after the season. So who knows exactly what will happen there, but it will be something interesting to watch and keep an eye on this season and going forward. And of course, that means with A.J. Dillon being in the final contract year, it's a big year for him to really show what he can be, and the way he plays in 2023 will sort of determine how much money he makes going into 2024 and beyond. So I put out another video on my second channel, which I'll leave linked down below. You can watch that if you're interested. A little bit more talk on running backs and the state of the running backs in money in the NFL. So feel free to go check that one out. But thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.